refer to. What would be, I guess, the plan B to prevent the sort of power vacuum that happened when the Soviets left fairly abruptly in the latter part of the 80s, and the Taliban rose to power initially? What's plan B without troops?
One, I really don't see it as, Republicans are always talking about, oh, well, you know, that country elected this leader and that leader is dangerous. So we need to go in there, topple them, install democracy, and then let them install their own leaders. And then they re-elect the same person, you know, the same person from that party, and then they go, oh, crap, they elected the bad guy. We need to go topple him, you know. I don't see it as our business, and the way to do it would probably be through a minimal security, like a minimal amount of troops there, still guiding things, still helping oversee things, still, you know, securing the, you know, the country as best they can, and then using diplomatic reasoning. And like I said, I'm not above using drone strikes in other sovereign nations where there's a terrorist threat.
Obama's not either. He more than quadrupled the amount of drone strikes that Bush administration
and
did.
look how great it's worked out for everybody. We've taken out more terrorists in the last 5 years, or more top-level tier terrorists in the Obama administration than George Bush did in his entire administration.
But that's because
with specific intelligence.
Set up the. All right.
Drones are
For your question, I believe that yes, diplomatic relations, they need to be improved, but I think that you need to strengthen the Afghan security forces, and yes, we have taught them for 11 years, which is a long amount of time, but they don't know what it's going to be like with us not there. They need to get a little bit, like, you can't just pull out, like, all the way gone. You need to slowly let them get used to us not being there, and then they'll be more successful.
Yes.
There was talk. There's been talk about drone strikes, but at least in my opinion, when you really look at it, you sort of need troops on the ground to do what we're doing there. Which, I mean, people talk about when Bush declared victory, it was too soon. Well, we won the war. What we're in right now is an occupation. It was toppling the Taliban government. What we're doing right now is an occupation, and we don't seem to be willing to pull out. Meanwhile, we're still occupying Korea. We were in Germany for forever. My question is, are we going to pull out, knowing historically in places like Somalia, where President Clinton pulled out the Marines, everything sort of spiraled out of control after that. Are we really willing to pull out in such a short window and taking the risk that the money and the lives that we spent on this war already could be undone in a matter of years?
I think you can. When he declared victory, he was talking about Iraq. There was really the mission in Afghanistan isn't real. There wasn't. The war on terror was stupid. I don't like rhetorical wars. I hated the war on drugs. I thought the war on poverty was stupid. Yes, I'm a Democrat. You can quote me on that. Rhetorical wars don't make sense. Terror is a feeling. It's an emotion. It's going to bed scared at night because of the boogeyman. It's being afraid to send your kids to school because you're afraid they're going to get shot. You can't win a war on terror. George Bush might as well have declared war on depression and given us all Xanax. We'd all feel a little bit better. You can't win a war on terror. There's always going to be terrorists. There's always going to be threats of this nature. There's always going to be problems that we're going to have to face like this. I don't think it's reasonable for us to, leave our, 60,000 troops, like you said, in this place where, I would rank Korea as a success. We went in, the war didn't go that great, but we left troops there, and you know what? North Korea has kept pretty much to itself until a couple of months ago. And you know what? When Kim Jong crazy whips out that missile again, we can rehash that out later. But
let's just wait till people die from a nuclear bomb. That's a great idea.
I'm fairly confident that if there was an actual threat from Kim Jong crazy, we would actually take care of it before it was going to fire. I would rank generally our success as having been successful in places like Germany. We left troops, we have a base there now. We left troops in Korea, we've held that border. We've left troops all over the world, and we have managed to sustain some democracies in a lot of places. I think it would work in Afghanistan.
More than 6,000 though.
No, 6,000 I think would be well, over time, we would even reduce that. And it would be 15,000 if you count NATO troops. I'm talking about the American involvement.
I'll just briefly comment on some points.
No, respond to
his question,
not his comments.
So I think your question was about withdrawing abruptly, how it will. All right, I think that if we withdraw abruptly, I do agree that it will leave the nation of Afghanistan, or whatever you can call it, it will leave it in a very, very vulnerable state that will leave the Afghan security forces susceptible to be overcome by the Taliban, which is not something that we want to occur. It would be tragic on both sides.
Last question. We call on all the guys, but that seems to be the
Ladies?
ladies.
Are you talking about Flame House?
Nope.
Yes, I said that for adults, get over it.
Well, I couldn't hear. This here is kind of shocking.
This is a question from the Republican side. Do you believe that a large standing army in Afghanistan would be a better tool to accomplish security goals for training the Afghan army instead of, say, like a more specialized counterterrorism force and training force if we would leave in, like about the six or so thousand that we'd be having under President Obama?
Well, under his plan, the specialized training forces would help them, teach them more, teach them better skills to keep themselves ready against the Taliban. But I still think that in order for them to be able to acquire those specialized skills, they need to be alive. And I think that, well, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I think that if you just pull everyone out and leave only those 6,000 that are training, there's not going to be anyone to help them protect the country while they're getting ready to protect the country.
Do you have something nice to say?
I would like to apologize. That was horrible.
Are you responding to the question?
Oh, I thought it was directed just at her.
I directed, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I've given you all a couple of minutes more, so we will call it even Steve. Thanks to the board. Now for the topic we have all been waiting for. Everybody got a soda?
Tell me how it goes.
The fourth topic is the ban on soda. All right, we're ready to talk about sugar waters.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Luke Zaro. I've only got a couple minutes to explain why the soda ban is frankly awful, and there's a lot wrong with it, so I'm going to speak quickly, so hang with me. Number one, the ban is unnecessary. Soda consumption rates have actually fallen over the past decade, while obesity rates have nonetheless risen. In other words, Bloomberg's grand plan to reinforce a trend that is already happening is clearly not working in tackling the obesity epidemic. Number two, the ban is arbitrary. The 20-ounce Coke is illegal, but milkshakes, chocolate milk, diet soda, sugary fruit juices, alcohol, and 50-ounce double gulp at 7-Eleven are all permissible under the ban. Number three, it has unintended economic consequences, including higher movie tickets, higher unemployment, and fewer sales for businesses. Number four, the ban is discriminatory and targets poor and minorities. The NAACP and the Hispanic Federation, which represents over 100 Latino businesses, are part of a lawsuit attacking this ban because it targets the poor and minorities. Number five, the ban is undemocratic. New Yorkers did not vote for this bill. The New York City Council did not vote for this bill. This went through the New York City Board of Health, which are all Bloomberg appointees. Voters had no say in this, and the bureaucrats who are accountable for it can't be held accountable for it by voters. Number six, it is fundamentally wrong. Essentially, this ban comes down to the idea that people are not smart enough to make health decisions for themselves, and that the government must do it. This sets a dangerous precedent that the idea that government knows best and will be used as a guise to take our rights away in future activities. And number 7, no one supports this. Conservatives, business owners, the NAACP, the Hispanic Federation, many Democrats, the majority of New Yorkers, keep in mind, the city has voted 81% for Barack Obama, and even a socialist city council woman all oppose this ban. The real question tonight is not whether the ban should be opposed, but rather who actually doesn't oppose it, and why are we still debating about it? Thank you.
Hey everybody! First off, this is the second debate in a row I have to apologize for a Democratic speaker to Father Anderson. Up front, and here right in front of me we have how many sugar cubes are in a 32-ounce Coca-Cola, which is a large Coke at McDonald's. That is 24 sugar cubes, which I imagine we all want to put in our coffee or something. I'm here today to speak in defense of the nanny state. Mayor Bloomberg has a record of protecting public health in this city that cannot be rivaled by any executive in any position, local, state, or national. And with his ban on sodas over 16 ounces, he's continuing this practice. Since he's taken office, Bloomberg has instituted policies that have proactively attacked the ills of our society, like cigarette smoking, and we've seen our life expectancy increase by 3 years, while the average American's life expectancy has only increased by 1.8 years. Because of this, an average resident of New York City will live 2.2 years longer than the average American. We live in a society that has a pandemic rate of obesity. Over half of all New York adults are overweight or obese, and half of all elementary schoolers are unhealthily overweight. Our government has a duty to protect its citizens, and with his ban on oversized sodas, Mayor Bloomberg's doing just that. High-caloric beverages are one of the leading causes of obesity in the United States, and no politician has been brave enough to take on the big beverage industry. The soda producers have targeted the young and the poor through advertising. We have seen those groups adversely impacted by these actions. Children can walk into McDonald's, buy a large Coke, that's 20% of their daily caloric intake, and that's 91 grams of sugar. With this ban on oversized sodas, New York City is going to do to soda what it's done to cigarettes. By making it more expensive to consume massive amounts of sodas, we should be able to decrease the amount of soda that's consumed. We have to make it economically difficult for people to consume large sodas, and this ban should accomplish this. In closing, we should be praising Mayor Bloomberg's decision concerning public health. He's done more than any person to increase the lifespans of New Yorkers. With this ban on oversized, high-caloric beverages, Mayor Bloomberg's taken another bold step in the right direction. And I just want to leave you with this thought. I imagine we're going to be hearing a lot from civil libertarians, complaining about the infringement of their rights. And I just want to let them know, from the bottom of my heart, I really don't care about your civil liberties. Thank you, and long live the nanny state.
We did save the best for last. Okay. Now we have 6 minutes of back and forth.
If I could begin. If I'm understanding you correctly, you were saying that the ban is necessary because people have shown over the past couple decades that they're not able to control their consumption habits on their own. Is that correct?
I point out that 58% of New Yorkers are indeed fat.
Okay. And you would say, for whatever reason, this is a fundamental flaw with people today, whether it be a lack of self-control, societal influences, whatever it may be?
Yes, it's just like ages ago we had cigarettes until we clamped down on that. How much does a pack cost? $11.50? There's no wonder why the cigarettes are going down.
And so, continuing with that line of logic, you're saying that the government is going to be, is necessary to be that force, in a sense, to use your word, protect citizens from themselves. Is that fair enough to say?
I'd say so, yes.
All right. Now I've got a question for you. What is the government made up of? Is it not made up of people?
It's made up of people coming together, and obviously individuals can't control themselves, so they need to be nannied, which is why
By other individuals?
Yes, by people like Mayor Bloomberg, who have done more to help our citizens who can't help themselves.
Is Mayor Bloomberg in any way different or in some way superior than the common man or woman, whether it be intelligently, genetically? All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, Republicans have been saying for years that Democrats are elitists, that the
here I am.
Better. This is the evidence that you need to hear. I mean, take a look at yourselves. Do you really think you're not smart enough to drink your own soda, to choose what size?
You guys, you have this romantic attachment to the past, and people were able to make their own decisions. People could smoke in bars, which, mind you, none of us were old enough to be in bars to witness this. But you know what? There's nothing romantic about a fat guy with lung cancer or diabetes sitting in a wheelchair because he lost both of his legs. He needs to be governed. He's not governing himself. Do you know how much it costs each year, obesity on the average citizen? $9.7 billion per year with healthcare just in New York City. 9.7 billion. And we're doing nothing about it until Mayor Bloomberg comes along and says, you know what, we need to stop with this cigarettes, so let's increase taxes. We need to stop with secondhand smoke, so let's end it in restaurants. We need to stop with the 32-ounce soda, with all this sugar going into our systems.
I'm not denying the sugar, but I don't want to burst your bubble and ruin your idolization of Mayor Bloomberg, but he's part of the Homo sapiens species too, and is subject to the same flaws that we are. So I'm asking you, why do you think that the government officials of the New York City Board of Health, right, Mayor Bloomberg, right?
Because they have doctors in medicine, whereas I don't, whereas the guy on the street drinking all the soda doesn't. They're experts for a reason. We give them degrees. They're experts. That's why you put them in a position on the Board of Health.
We didn't put them in a position, actually. They weren't voted in.
Yeah, we were
They were
elected. This is a
appointed by another.
republic, so these people are representing us.
Yeah, but
So it's not a direct democracy. You want a direct democracy?
it's not even
Greece.
representational. there was no voting done.
We voted for Mayor Bloomberg. Mayor Bloomberg appointed people. Do you not want appointed positions anymore?
No. I'm saying, but no. Look at other health initiatives by Mayor Bloomberg, right? The ban of smoking in the restaurants, which I think is a very good policy. The difference between smoking and soda, though, is if someone's smoking, you can get secondhand smoke. If you're consuming a soda, I don't get any fatter. The ban on smoking, though, since it was done in America, it was done with democratic means and went through the city council because the voters can hold the members of the city council responsible
Yeah, they
for their
can
actions.
hold Mayor Bloomberg.
Why did Mayor Bloomberg not go through the city council for this health initiative?
Because he doesn't
what
have
makes this
to.
one different? Except for the fact that it's unpopular and nobody wants it.
40% of people are actually.
It's a liberal bastion of America. I mean, this is not a. I mean, to go to Oklahoma City, it'd be like 99% of opposition.
We haven't had a Democratic mayor in your lifetime, so it's not like it's not that liberal.
It voted 81% for Barack Obama, the highest since Calvin Coolidge.
We're kind of Wall Street Democrats. So I mean, it's not that liberal. That's why Bloomberg had to go through his own means. He had to appoint people on the Board of Health to do this. And it's his prerogative as chief executive of the city to appoint whoever he pleases to the Board of Health. They can do whatever they want if they're on the Board of Health.
Well, no. Okay, the idea of America is to have a democracy so the people are hold accountable for their leaders. If the leader
Yeah,
goes
the
haywire,
idea of America, have all
I
this
think I'm
liberty,
going to ban
including all
soda.
those slaves.
I'm sorry?
The idea of America, ooh, the idea of America. We had all these slaves. We've been regulating things for our entire history, and now we're just regulating another ill of society.
Absolutely, that's fine, but it usually goes through democratic means. This is not held by, this is not through democratic means.
Mayor Bloomberg was elected democratically.
I'm sorry?
Mayor Bloomberg was elected democratically last time I checked.
He was, but the Board of Health was not, and this initiative was
He
the Board of
appoints him.
Health.
That's his prerogative.
No, but the way he achieved this prerogative is what's wrong. It's a fundamental difference between going through a city council, which has to run for re-election and answer to voters and explain the decisions they made, and officials who don't have to. It's a fundamental difference.
But he's allowed to appoint anybody, and if people don't like his appointments, they can vote for
I'm
whoever they want
not saying
next
the
election, and they can
appointments
get
are
rid of
wrong.
this
I'm
bill.
saying the means it was done through were wrong.
You know what also was unpopular when it was first passed? The ban on smoking in restaurants. Now it's a very, very popular thing.
It was done
People
through the
don't
city
like
council.
change. People don't like change, and sometimes change is good for them.
Okay.
That's why I'm a progressive.
I think you're missing my point here. It's not so much the soda ban, which is awful, right? But the ban on
Why is
smoking
it
in
awful,
restaurants.
though? I mean, it's going to accomplish a lot. We're going to be able to get these huge sodas out of people's hands.
Okay. Soda consumption has fallen over the past decade.
In New York
And
City?
obesity rates, yes. And obesity rates have still risen.
But has soda fallen among the groups that are most obese?
Okay, this is,
I mean, maybe soda rates have fallen among the Upper West Side mom, but that doesn't mean that they've fallen among the poor
on a large
children.
national scale, according to CNN, right? Soda consumption rates have fallen over the past decade, and obesity has still risen. So I don't see
Okay,
why
so maybe it
lowering
has
soda
fallen among the
further-
40% that aren't obese.
Sorry?
This statistic is meaningless. I bet the 58% of people that are obese are still consuming soda. I mean, that's like saying, oh, it's fallen. So maybe it's fallen, but the 40% of people that were drinking soda are still thin. and now they don't drink soda
No,
anymore.
I think actually if we just look at the numbers, it signals the fact that ending soda consumption, banning it, reducing it, is not the answer to our obesity problem. You can still go take shots of vodka, which have way more calories than soda does.
You know what?
You
We
can
can't
go get a
take a shot of
milkshake, which
vodka.
has twice as much.
A
of that.
child. You know, the children are obese. And half children can go walk into McDonald's and for, what, like $2.25, buy a 32-ounce Coca-Cola. That's like
That's
345. It's
That's
not
something
that, what the parents are at work.
Okay, again,
They're going home from
should the
school, they're
state
walking
run
home
the
from
family?
school,
This
there's
is a fundamental-
800 McDonald's in 4 blocks. What are they gonna go to? They're gonna go to McDonald's. They have the Ron McDonald outside, they have the toys. I mean, it's a nice time.
All right, I'd like to get some intelligent questions. First, we're going to go to potty mouth. Why do I? Because I want to hear from you all. I'm sorry for listening to them. So, but I'm sorry, they get to the last one. So, minute, yes. Whichever side.
You first.
Well, not sure really what to say after this. Bloomberg is not a god. He's a human just like us, subject to the same flaws, same mistakes, same poor decisions as the rest of us. He's in no position to make decisions for us. He called for a nanny state. Look at what the Democrats want to do. They want to take your taxes, your money. Money equals power. They want to give more money to the government. That's more power to the government. They want to universalize health care. They want to control your health. Look at him. He's not denying it. And now they want to tell you that you can't drink a soda. This is ridiculous. I mean, this is not what our country was founded upon. All right, look at the party of the people, right? The Republican Party, of the people, by the people, for the people, right? We want to give you the rights that you deserve. The right to drink a soda should not be a controversial right, which is part of the reason no one supports this bill, this regulation. The fact of the matter is, the Democrats are trying to centralize the state, make it a nanny state. And I shouldn't even say Democrats, because a lot of them don't support it, but these types of Democrats. And the fact of the matter is, this is not good for our country. If we look at every single state that centralizes its power, like the Soviet Union, North Korea, and Cuba, they've all failed. Let's not become that state. Let's remain the successful, capitalistic, free market country that America was and continue to be successful. Thank you very much.
Responding to these, don't encourage them.
I love getting lectured by Republicans about government intervention because they don't like government intervention into your McDonald's, but hey, your uterus? Hey, your bedroom? Let's get in there. So Republicans can lecture us all they want about the nanny state and how they don't take part in it, when really they take part in your most personal decisions. We just want to make sure, you know what, you could buy 32 ounces of soda still. It's just going to cost you a bit more. You have to buy 2 16 ounces. We're not banning soda. We're just going to make it harder so people start drinking less. Mayor Bloomberg's doing the correct thing in this. He wants to protect his citizens' lives, which I think is his main duty. He's done more than pretty much any person in America to save New York lives. We've seen it with that 3-year increase just in the time that he's been in office, which is almost double the rest of the United States. And yeah, I really would love universal health care. And guess what? Banning soda will save us $9.8 billion in New York City each year once we do get that universal health care. So, again, along with the nanny state.
Yes, ma'am.
This question is directed to the Democratic speaker. I'm thinking, why pick on soda? Because if you go into McDonald's and you get a Big Mac, it has like over, 700 calories? And if you have prime rib with a little bit of fat on the edge, that's bad for you. And ice cream has sugar and chocolate. I like chocolate. And chocolate is bad for you. And yet they're picking on soda to get rid of the evil of being obese. So why soda?
Because soda's easy to get and children love it. I mean, we have to be thinking about the children. And on the first 2 points, there's a reason I'm a vegetarian. But come on, we have to do something. We're not gonna, maybe we should have a tax on McDonald's. I'm not against that. Luxury tax on McDonald's, make it more expensive to eat these terrible foods.
We
Maybe.
get terrible foods at the grocery store. I mean, are we,
Yeah, okay, let's put luxury tax on everything that's bad. I'm not against that. Maybe make $1 more for, it shouldn't cost more to buy a bundle of carrots than it does to buy a box of Twinkies. Maybe we need a tax on that type of thing. Well, they got bought today or something like that. They're coming back. I'm the first to tell you.
I'd like to say I agree wholeheartedly with you, and I would just like to say to the rest of the crowd, listen to some of the things that come out of his mouth. It's very, very scary. Let's control everything. Let's have a command economy, because that worked so well when the Soviet Union did it. It worked so well when Cuba did it. It worked so well when North Korea did it.
Let's decentralize
Let's
everything
have
and
a
become
GDP.
Somalia. Everybody's got pirates! Pirates!
I'm not going for this. I'm saying you're the one with the moderate balanced approach, which is supported by huge swaths of your party as well as the majority of my party. I think you're the outsider on this one.
Next question.
Okay, first of all, I'm just going to say, Bloomberg was a Republican before he ran for office, then he switched to the Democrat, and now he's an independent, so I just want to point that out. So technically, but how are you suggesting that because, and both candidates, speakers can respond, that with the majority of not only New Yorkers, but also the city council itself not really supporting this, and there are other things like the other question was saying, that there's so many other things. You could get the same amount of sugar in 2 cups of Starbucks coffee, and those are like, you get a caramel macchiato, it's the same amount of sugar. So are you suggesting that it progresses into, banning coffees like that, or like all that?
I believe this ban is on any beverage that is over 25 calories per 8 ounces. So
There are no other caveats.
are there
If
for
it's over
coffee?
50% dairy, 70% fruit juice, or an alcoholic
Well, I mean,
beverage doesn't
a
qualify.
milkshake's a
So the
dessert.
Starbucks, you're okay. You can still get your mocha, whatever. As long as you
I wouldn't be against expanding it to include those things.
Sam, did you have a question? Okay.
It was addressed. Okay, so to build on that, so McDonald's, right? What about fine, soda's all well and good, but to be honest, that's not gonna stop that damn thing. I mean, you really need to attack food because, food is the problem, and it's overeating that's the problem. Take for example the big one, the Big Mac, or Five Guys. Maybe you should not put 3 buns on a hamburger and 2 hamburger patties and try 2 buns and 1 burger. Do you think we should start limiting that too? Or,
It might be more difficult to limit something like that because there's not cup sizes. Unless, we could say.
But there are
if you're-
different sizes because you can get a burger with.
Yeah, we could say that'd be more in that luxury tax idea where if you're getting a Big Mac that's 700 calories, it will cost you $1 more because you're going to end up costing us more money. I'm not saving you guys money. That's what I really want to do.
Yeah, I would just say taxing everything is not saving you money. That's taking your money.
It works though. Look at cigarettes.
Okay, again, listen to every single response you've had to every single question. Let's tax it.
Yes.
Let's make it run by the state. And
Yes.
let's centralize the government. Right?
Yes.
Let's look at countries in the past because history repeats itself, and we can learn from others' mistakes. We don't have to make the mistakes ourselves. Every state that's done what you are suggesting right now has failed. That's not a track record I
The
think we should
freest
follow.
countries in the world have more central control than we do. New Zealand, for example, which I think it was Heritage just said was the most free country, has more control than us. I think they have higher cigarette taxes. They could even have luxury taxes on things. So, we're not acting like this is going to turn us into. I'm not saying, hey, now you have to be a slave because you can't have a 32-ounce soda unless you buy 2 16-ounce sodas and then you can have a 32-ounce soda. This isn't slavery. We're trying to save money. We're trying to save lives. You guys never care about saving lives. The poor can die from here.
According to Heritage, Hong Kong was the freest. New Zealand was 3 or 4, I think.
Yes.
Well, you've been mentioning saving lives and using the word saving quite a bit. But I'd first of all like to point out that this does discriminate against people with conditions such as hypoglycemia who need lots of sugar at different times. Their sugar rates fall very low, and they might need a large soda to get the correct amount of sugar.
Got it. Solve that problem, guys.
I'd like to ask you, this regulation does stop me from buying 2 sodas and bypassing the intent of the regulation. How do you feel about the environmental impact this is going to have with two 2 cups where there could have been 1. That's 2 straws, 2 straws, 2 plastic lids. Do you realize global warming?
You know,
How that ultimately is going to affect our taxes.
fortunately for you, I'm known in this club as being like the least environmentally friendly person. So, I mean, you don't have Al Gore up here, so that's a very strange question. I never even thought of that, but I don't care because I don't think an extra cup is going to cause a problem. I mean, when people are the size of cows, and cows are the biggest cause of global warming, that's probably a bigger problem. They're
And again, I'm really kind of speechless at some of the things I've heard today, but
that was my goal.
I would just like to say, oftentimes when you overregulate, when you overtax, you have things that have unintended consequences. That's one of them. There's many of them. He says he hasn't thought about it, because if you thought about it, you wouldn't support the man.
No, I do. I just thought about it. So.
All right, folks, we've gone 7.5 minutes. And it's pushing 8:55, so I think we will stop the official part of this debate. I'm sure that our 2 presenters will be happy to discuss this.
We're going to go to Checkers, and we can hash this out there over a couple of
I want to have a loving and big gulps.
All right, so do you want to meet me at Checkers with the big gulps? I'll see you there, Sam.
So thank you for inviting me, and thank you all for coming.